والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. So the lecture tonight is going to be about the importance of learning. And initially when I wrote this lecture, I actually wrote it for teachers. I wrote it for multicultural teachers. Those teachers who would be engaged in multicultural students. Students of other language, bilingual students. But inshallah, as we talk about that, we will somehow go ahead and connect the dots between those who teach and those who learn. And in doing so, we'll bring about some literature, both ethnographic and interview literature from the scholars in this field. But also, it'll be important to talk about some of the things that would affect learning and teaching. And the biggest one really is food. So we'll talk about food too as well. So that would be mainly the topic tonight that I'd like to discuss with you in the next 45 to maybe an hour. And hopefully I won't bore you with it. So we'll cut it short as much as we can, so we can give some time for questions, inshallah. Before I say that, I do want to talk a little bit about this month, because it's Ramadan, so we can't really do any lectures in the month of Ramadan without at least reminding ourselves about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah number 142, or maybe 143, I might be mistaken, we know the very, very famous ayah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, kutiba alaykum as-siyam, kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum, why? La'allakum tattaqun. And then if we skip one ayah, the ayah after that, which now I know, it's the one I just read is 183. Now 143, so 183. And the one next to that is 185. So 185, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, شهر رمضان الذي ينزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس. And so that tells us something about what happened before. The first one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of course is talking to us, for as long as you have Iman, then fasting is now obligatory for you. But to give you a historical context of what's happening here, Jews in Medina have just now been dealt with in a way we've never seen before. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had changed the Qibla. The Qibla is we're no more facing the Masjid al-Aqsa. And they were taken by surprise by that. Mainly because they were arrogant and they thought that An-Nubuwwah, the prophethood, was something that was inherent. And they even said that the messenger, which is Jibreel alayhi salam, had delivered to the wrong address. That's what they thought. So, the Qibla has been changed. And by the way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the Prophet so much that when the Qibla changed, all the Prophet had to do was look at the sky. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, we saw your heart. You need change. And so therefore we're going to change it. So Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam looks up, Allah changed the Qibla. Now that the Qibla is changed, there's all these nuances going on with the Jews. They really don't like the fact that this has been changed. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to do something else to them. So then He says that this month of fasting is being prescribed for you, and it's now obligatory for you. Why? Because that is a way to gain taqwa. That is a way for you to gain taqwa. And the taqwa is not the fear, but it's rather the consciousness of Allah. For you to be very conscious of Allah. Because once you are conscious of Allah, you will automatically gain this positive fear of Allah. That you will do things for the sake of Allah. And interestingly enough, the Arabs back then understood this word Sawm. The word Sawm itself has some really intricacies. This word meant that there was a struggle involved. They used to train, the camel and the horse are not the same. They're not used for the same things. The camel can outlast the horse stamina-wise, but the horse is faster. So what they used to do, the Arabs back then, is they would train the horse to have as big and same of a stamina as the camel. That process is called Sawm. So when the Arab heard this word, كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ, when he heard this Sawm, they automatically assumed that we're being toughened up for something. We've been toughened up for something. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about this month of Ramadan. So that was the purpose. That's the purpose of fasting. The purpose of fasting is for us to gain taqwa. Not to eat a lot of food, to gain taqwa. But now the purpose of the month of Ramadan, is something completely different. First and foremost, the purpose is the Quran, because the Quran is being revealed in this month of Ramadan. So to learn the Quran, to approach the Quran in a way that is befitting, that is fair, is important. So I apologize, I kind of digressed a little bit, but we can draw some lessons from there. The fact that this month is the month of Ramadan, is the month of Quran, that we have to learn the Quran. And there are so many places in the Quran and in Islam that is apparent that learning is important, that learning is encouraged. And we'll take a look at that. So, first of all, the importance of learning then, we say is that education is the birthright of every Muslim and Muslimah. Male, female, and female, young or old. And in history, if we look back in the history, this ummah, at the zenith of really the civilization, was based on the encouragement of Islam in education, in learning. And the emphasis in learning and education is inherent in Islam. Is inherent because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accentuated the learning and education in the Quran. And so therefore we visit the first revelation in Islam. And that verse of revelation started with the word Iqra. Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. So that is in and itself an indication that we should really be an ummah that reads. The ummah that learns and writes. And so that was an indication that learning really is inherent in the teachings of Islam. Then I do have some ayats to kind of remind us of that importance in learning. The first of which in the rough translation would be, and they shall say, had we but listened or used reason, we would not be among the inmates of hellfire. وَقَالُوا لَوْ كُنَّا نَسْمَعُ أَوْ نَعْقِلُ مَا كُنَّا فِي أَصْحَابِ السَّعِيرِ. Second, and that was in Surah Al-Mulk, by the way. In Surah Al-Zumar, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, again what is closest to meaning, says, are those who have knowledge and those who have no knowledge alike? It's a theoretical question. Only the men of understanding are mindful. قُلْ هَلْ يَسْتَوِي الَّذِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. This is the Quran reasoning with men. And of course, the answer is no. And the third thing is that the Quran really exhorts the Muslims to do a scientific research. To really do a research. And that is apparent in also Surah Al-Zumar, ayah number 33, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and he who has brought the truth, which is the messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and those who believed, which are the Muslims, therein, they are those who have taqwa. وَالَّذِي جَاءَ بِالصِّدْقِ وَصَدَّقَ بِهِ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُتَّقُونَ. So the importance of learning there is really apparent. It's really apparent. It's like this innate thing in us that we all know somehow that gaining education is something that's very important to us. Then I have some sayings of the Prophet ﷺ, some traditions of the Prophet ﷺ that I want to share with you to kind of encourage us in this. And this is my precursor going into the main lecture here tonight. Let me just go ahead and read off some of these. We won't read all 11 of them. I think about 11 or so. The first one is that Prophet ﷺ says, seek knowledge, even if you have to cross the oceans to go to China. Because of course back then China was really far. It might not be really that far for us now. But at least the wisdom there is that even if knowledge is far away, you should go ahead and search it. When we talk to our elders and they tell us how they gain knowledge, you know, if you compare the path that they've taken or how they used to learn, it's completely different. I challenge you and I argue today that gaining knowledge, or maybe not gaining knowledge, but access to knowledge today is a lot simpler. You've got this ubiquitous internet that you can access 24/7, and all the knowledge is there. All the knowledge is there. For instance, someone might want to learn Kitab al-Tawheed. Back in, 1970s, in our home countries, someone wants to learn that, they probably had to travel. They probably had to travel, leave their families, and go ahead and gain this knowledge. Today I have Kitab al-Tawheed, the entire Kitab al-Tawheed in my fingers. Open up my laptop, Kitab al-Tawheed is there. Sharh. So the importance of actually then struggling and putting the effort to learn and gain knowledge is there, inherent in Islam, in the teachings of Islam. The acquisition of knowledge is also compulsory for every Muslim, whether male or female. The Prophet ﷺ is also telling us that you should seek knowledge from cradle to grave. Seek knowledge. We should be people who are always learning and studying. And there are different kind of knowledges. Yes, there's the knowledge that is fard, and that's learned about Islam. But there's also other knowledge. God has revealed to me, whoever walks in the pursuit of knowledge, I will facilitate for him the way to heaven. So, the sharh of the hadith is really big, right? And as you can see, there's an ocean, really, of opportunities. Someone who gets out and wants to learn and really sets off to the path of learning, and heaven's getting open for him, or for her is really something that's man-made. And it's not an easy thing. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us to gain the knowledge and to have the love of gaining knowledge all the time. Amin ya Allah. Someone asked the Prophet ﷺ, who is the biggest scholar? He replied, he who is constantly trying to learn from others. For a scholar is ever hungry for more knowledge. We can never get more knowledge. We always have to seek more knowledge. So we'll leave that there and we move on to the next phase here. And I broke down this chapter, this topic, into 3 categories. We'll probably don't want to go too deep into the cultural part of it, but the first part is the brain and the effects of learning. How the brain affects the way we learn, the way we acquire learning. And we'll also talk about food. What about food, by the way? Because I feel like this is relevant, especially in this month of Ramadan, because some people think that when you break your fast, until again you can no longer eat, you got to eat as much as you can. It's like as if we're hibernating, right? Put all the food in our stomach so we can move on tomorrow and not feel hungry. But really, are these foods that we're eating, are they good for us? Are they even halal for us? So those are some of the things that I want to touch upon with you. So when you look at the brain, are there any doctors here right now? Any doctors here? Maybe there's some sisters that are doctors. I'm not a doctor, but I've done some research. In my graduate studies, we've done extensive research about the brain and how the brain functions. And there are some interesting things I want to go ahead and relay to you guys. So I don't have a pointer, but maybe I can just put my mouse over it, if you guys can see. Yeah, okay. So let's talk about the learning, saying the brain where learning happens. Brain is where the learning really happens, right? So learning is this process of which the brain's eyes see and integrate and they translate what they see. It is this process of what is being seen, what is being felt, what is being tasted. So let's look at the frontal lobe, which is this part. I'm kind of colorblind, but I think that is light blue. The light blue part is frontal lobe. The frontal lobe is what is responsible for consciousness. We're conscious, this part is responsible for that. This is the part that's also responsible for language and some emotions as well. And that part also happens to be the developing part, the motor skills, the motor activities part of the brain. So when the kid is young, don't drop that kid. Make sure it doesn't hit, or don't hit him in the head. Then second, we want to talk about the parietal lobe. This is this maroon looking like area. It may even be red. It looks maroon to me. This location is near the back.